Schumer-sized train wreck. See if you're stuck in the zone. And she's spending her summer exactly where you want to be. Jada Pinkett Smith talks about mixing it up with America's most wanted men in Magic Mike XXL. And if your bod isn't exactly beach ready yet, we've got incredible beauty breakthroughs that can shrink a double chin, clear up your skin, and even help make you thin. And what did Steve Jobs and Mark Zuckerberg do on their road to mega success that your kid can too? The answer is kind of a no-brainer. This is The View with Whoopi, Nicole Wallace, Rosie Perez, and Raven Simone. And today, Molly Sims hits the co-host chair. It all starts now.
Welcome to The View, y'all. Welcome to The View. Well, thank you.
We have a new co-host.
We have a new co-host. Her name is Charlie Rose. She's 1 year and 14 months and likes pirate booty. Which is apparently what she's eating. So, Charlie, you're in the next segment, or 2 segments for next year. Yeah, hello. I love you, she says. Okay. Go on now. Go on now. Bye-bye.
Oh, Whoopi, you know what's so adorable about her? And she's just a natural-born performer because she was like, I live for the applause.
Yes. I don't know where she gets it.
And your other granddaughter should model. She's beautiful.
Well, those were 4 of the most beautiful women I've ever seen.
Sarah,
So,
look at that. It's kind of crazy, but every time I look, I think, boy, I helped to spawn all that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so stuff does get better. I was just letting you know. Hey, you know, the presidential campaign season is heating up, and polls and surveys are coming out every day. And one just published by the National Academy of Science found that conservatives have more self-control than liberals. Now, looking at the Republican candidates, I can name a couple I don't think have any self-control, but what do you think?
You know, there is another study, Donnie Deutsch and I always fight about it, that Republicans have more sex. So, you know, there are all sorts of ways that we're dividing the country right and left.
We need to know.
They say that
I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a scientific study.
I think you and I should put that to the test.
We should.
They say that conservatives tend to believe statements like strength of mind can always overcome a body's desires. The state of your mind can overcome body desires. I mean, when I need it,
y'all
I need
laughed at me that we don't, you know, we're more immune to infidelity and we can resist it. You know,
but
I'm in Weight Watchers, and I'm never the one that has lost. I never do very well at the scale, which is what we say at Weight Watchers. So I don't think it applies to dieting. But, you know, I mean, we need some things in our favor, and so I'll take self-control.
Well, you're in our favor because having the conversation, not being a conservative or a Republican, I don't mind having a conversation with you because we talk about issues that affect all of us. So in that, looking at you, you're a very fair Republican, and I can give you that.
Well, thank you.
You know.
And I think I only work for Republicans who I learned that from the Republicans I worked for. You know, I worked for the Bush family. I worked for Jeb Bush when I was 25 years old. I went to work for George W. Bush when I was 28 years old, and I worked for people who were most proud of their bipartisan accomplishments. So I didn't work for people who were proud of the things they did on their own in a partisan way. I worked for people who were most proud of the things they did when they reached across the aisle. So I learned that.
I love it, and hopefully other Republicans will follow suit, because it used to be a great conversation where you could be a liberal Democrat or a liberal Republican or a further to the right Republican, further to the left Democrat, and independent. You used to be able to have conversations with people. I feel like we kind of lost it.
Yeah. Well, it's become so polarizing. It's either you're far left or you're far right, and a lot of this country is, especially for me, I'm kind of right down the middle. I'm, you know, socially, I am a Democrat. I believe certain things, but there's things I believe from the Republican Party. So it's crossing over is what we need to focus on and get through to people, that it's not just one way.
Yeah.
And even if you do believe that it's one way, you should respect the other person's point of view.
Be able to have
and
The first day in this job, this one comes up to me and whispers so that nobody else would hear, I really like you. I really First day. We were taking pictures in the back, and we hadn't started. It was our rehearsal, and she goes, I don't agree with you. I really like, and she told me I had good legs. I was so happy.
Yeah, she does. Good legs. She does great legs.
You know, speaking of good legs, an article in Glamour magazine claims that the concept of a friend zone between men and women, meaning that people only have certain amount of time to have sex before they're considered just friends, doesn't actually exist. What do you think of this?
It exists. I dated this one guy. Well, I thought I was dating this one guy for a long time, and I knew he liked me. Sorry to put you on blast. And then I took him to my birthday, and I was like, you know, being like, come on, come on. He didn't do anything. He didn't touch me. I was like, all right, it's friend zone. And then literally a week later, he came up and he was like, kiss me. I was like, you tripping, you late.
I agree. Friend zone does not.
The window closed.
The window closed. I got put in the friend zone so many times, and actually it kind of put me off, because they waited and they waited for whatever reason, insecurity, or they weren't ready, or they were involved with.
You're a supermodel.
No, but stop it.
I'm just saying, as a guy, that's a little
I gave him a chance, but after like 4 months of being in the friend zone, it's like, come on. No, I got put in the friend zone so many times. It does not exist.
I think it's called the scared zone.
It does.
Well,
it does exist.
It does
and
exist.
Perhaps if people weren't so ready to get stuff going right away, let people get to you as they're ready. Because just because you're ready doesn't mean they're ready.
Well, after 4 months, I was ready.
No, listen, I've had friends that I've waited 10 years before we got any.
Are you insane? 10 years, girl.
Yeah, baby, 10 years.
You've been waiting a long time.
But to me.
Can I ask you though?
Yes.
Was that because they became sexier to you the more you knew their mind?
No, you know what it was? Because we were busy having so much fun that it evolved into the sex. You know, sometimes you gotta just let it happen when it happens. Might be yesterday, or it might be 2, 5, 10 years from now.
10 years, girl.
10 years, baby. Now, that doesn't mean I wasn't busy.
There you go. There you go.
Please. We'll be right back with more Hot Topics. Oh, yeah, I was busy.
Were you knocked upside the head by your pregnancy to-do list? You won't believe the latest high-tech trends moms-to-be are buying into.
New York Magazine just asked 25 famous women for the best advice they've ever given or received, and Rosie Perez was on that list. What did you say?
I said, excuse my French, my aunt always said to me, Rosie, I'm so depressed, but tomorrow's another day. So, I mean, you know, I always talk about, I was in foster care, in and out, and life was tough. And when I would get depressed, she would say, tomorrow's another day. Just keep hanging on. It's all right. It's all right. Today seems dark to you, but tomorrow the sunshine's going to come.
That's right.
My mentor is something I've kind of been striving for the past 4 or 5 years. And Gayle King actually says, Maya Angelou said, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time. And I had a lot of times with dating, and I'd be like, oh, but he's not really like that. He's not, I can fix him, I can change him. And so now it's like, who you are, what you shown me.
I love, we were talking about Allie Wentworth's advice.
Oh, Allie Wentworth is my favorite. Oh my gosh, you know, because sometimes people can throw out sayings that are a little trite, but this one had me cracking up. She says, don't worry about working out until it's more about preventing death and less about what you look like. I love that. I love that.
And, you know, that's what gets you to the gym. I had a baby, and I go to the gym now so that I'm alive, like, to bother him for as much of his life as humanly possible. And I'm much more motivated to go to the gym than I ever was to fit into skinny jeans.
I didn't go to the gym very much, and mine is I'm still here.
You're still here.
Hey, you know, there's some tech companies that are offering a so-called pregnancy mode on their Wi-Fi routers, which emits less radiation. Now, there's no scientific proof that Wi-Fi radiation has any effect on pregnancy, but that's not stopping moms to be from buying into it. And I have a funny feeling that y'all would be right there.
I was pregnant, I bought, and mind you, pregnancy lasts 10 months. The 9-month thing is a myth. But I bought everything. I mean, and you can sell a pregnant woman anything that will make the baby better.
Nicole, that 10-month, is it before the 1st or after the 9th?
After the 9th.
After the 9th.
Well,
you know
not really. It's 10 months. It's fully.
Yeah.
It's
40 weeks.
months.
40 weeks.
I understand, but like period, you have pre, during, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But when you're pregnant, and then the best time to sell someone, if you are an entrepreneur, figure out something to sell a woman in labor, because it doesn't happen that quickly. And you're laying there, and I had medicine. Some people don't. God bless you. It wasn't for me. But I bought everything they walked at. You want to store the cord blood? Yes. How much of it? Oh, all of it. You know, I paid that.
Hold on. I got talked into placenta pills.
Oh, me too. I stored that, and I don't know where
Eating
it's like.
placenta, it's like pills.
The NSA data storage, like it's somewhere in Utah. You know,
I think it's good. I don't have nowhere near having a baby anytime soon, but I believe in storing it. I don't know what for. For some reason, I feel like I need to store it.
Store what, baby?
Cord blood and like extra help
There's
during that
lots
time.
of stuff in there. I'm sure it's not all necessary, but mine is being stored somewhere in Utah.
Mine is
Just in case.
On my first pregnancy.
They sold it to me, and I bought it.
Just in case of like if something happens later in life.
Listen, let me explain something. My kid, I'm not going to say her age, but she's. I had her at a time where there was none of this. You went in and you had the damn baby, and then you didn't. There was nobody. There was nobody taking videos. There was no party in the room. The nurses came around and said, "Why are you making so much noise? Women have babies every day. Hush!" And you'd be like, "Oh." Hey, you know what? Oh my God, what happened? Yeah, we're gonna go and come right back with Jada Pinkett Smith.
You're counting the minutes to see it, but this lady lived it. Jada Pinkett Smith takes you behind the scenes of Magic Mike XXL. Next.
Hey now, Jada Pinkett Smith is the envy of Smith. Come here, girl. Originally, this character that you're playing in this was supposed to be a guy.
Yes.
But then you got a phone call saying what?
Well, Channing and Greg, they sent me the script, and then Channing was like, I need to Skype with you. So he was like, Jada, I want you to play this role. And you know, how Channing pitched it to me was that he's like, I think there's a way to make adult entertainment responsible. And I had just come from Atlanta. I did a project with CNN on human trafficking and how human trafficking, sometimes in strip clubs, can be a gateway to human trafficking. And so I realized, you know what, he might be onto something as far as raising the vibrations with this platform. And so I said, you know what, I'm gonna take this ride with you. I don't know where it's gonna end up, but this is worth a shot. And I think we did a good job. I'm proud of it. It was fun.
Not to lower the conversation, but there are a lot of very hot men wearing very little.
Yes.
Let me say that again, very hot men.
Yes. And let me tell you, I'm gonna tell you something. I've never really been into male strippers. Let's just be clear about that. But I have to tell you something. There was something really rejuvenating about being around some fine, naked men. I mean,
It was really inspiring. I just have to be honest about it.
But this, I think, is why you're loved the world over. You said you actually had a little bit of sympathy for men.
I did, because I have to tell you, now my experience as a woman has been, you see a man that you're attracted to, and you go, ooh. But then when you walk into a room full of gorgeousness, and then how you're affected, that was a whole different experience for me, and I had to get a different kind of discipline in.
Hilarious.
But I do have a question.
Yeah.
Did Will visit the set?
He didn't, because he was doing a movie shoot. Yeah.
The old movie shoot.
The old movie shoot.
Yeah. Old movie shoot.
Okay.
You had another big role this year, too. You played the club owner, Fish Mooney, in the TV series Gotham, which is spectacular.
Thank you.
You actually worked with my TV brother, Kyle Massey, on the show. He was on Gotham as well. Please tell us about your character, and will you be in that again? No?
I don't know. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
Everything, you know, everything's possible.
Anything can happen.
Anything can happen. But, you know, I had an awesome time. And I'm a comic book geek. I love comic books. And, you know, to have that opportunity to help create a role like Fish Mooney, it's just a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And I feel so blessed to have had the opportunity. I just had so much fun.
One of the great things about you is, you know, I've known you guys a long time. I knew you before you were parents, and now you're parents. So you're raising independent children.
Absolutely.
And explain to people why it's important for kids to make the mistakes they need to make to grow.
You know what? You said something interesting backstage, and that is remembering what you went through at that age, okay? And I tell you, my sense of independence came a different way. I mean, you know, my background was a little different. I had a lot of independence for a different reason. You know, my mother had some substance dependence problems, but what I learned from my mother was that she gave me the room to fall and get up again and learn how to live life by my terms.
Yes.
And I did pretty well with that.
Yes, you did.
So I offer that to my kids, and you know what? I think they're doing pretty good.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah, I think they're doing pretty good.
I'm proud of you as a mom. Again, I knew before and after. I like what
I've come a long way.
Yes, you have. Yes, you have.
Listen to,
Girl. You did me well, but I'll tell myself.
Can we go there, though? Because in 2001, you got, I mean, you probably weren't wild anymore, but I'd like to hear more about that. But in 2009...
Because she had to fall out at the casket.
Right.
And she was this big to start with, okay?
Right.
So she had this little tiny bump, all right? And she would just fall out on the floor. It's like, look, there's a person in there.
Yeah, she was like, stop doing that.
Stop doing that like that, because, you know, she'd go all in. And then she'd fall this way. She'd fall this
And for me, she taught me a lot about comedic timing. I remember that. We did. We had
That's a good movie. I haven't seen it in a while, but it's a good one. We thank Jada Pinkett Smith. God bless me. Magic Mike XXL is in theaters July 1. That's July 1st for those of you who don't speak Spanish. We will be right back.
Some of the most successful billionaires in history have one thing in common, and we're taking you to school. Next.
It's so expensive and the job market so competitive that many parents wonder what's the right choice for their child's future. But the best-selling author who has advised President Obama makes a very compelling case in his new book, In Defense of a Liberal Education. Please welcome CNN host Fareed Zakaria. Hello.
Hi there.
I'm so glad that you're out with this book, because I feel redeemed with my liberal arts education, because I always thought, and I really think we hear so much in the political conversations, that a degree in engineering is what we need to keep up with China and India, but you say that's not the case.
Yeah, it's not the case. Look, if you like science, if you like engineering, absolutely do it. But don't think that, you know, you can't do anything else and you have to find some specific skill. In the years between 18 and 22, 23, if you're lucky enough to go to college, this is when you should build the base of your education. Build yourself the skills that allow you to learn.
Sixth job, you said, right?
Exactly. You don't plan for your first job, you plan for your sixth job. You plan for the fact that you'll be in industries that haven't existed, you know, that are being invented as we speak. And so what do you need? You need to learn how to read, how to write, how to think, how to articulate your ideas. And if you do that, you're building a base. The rest of your life, you'll be specializing. And by the way, it's important to train yourself to make a living, but it's also important to train yourself to make a life. I mean, there's a lot of time outside of work as well. And all of this feeds that. It feeds your brain, it feeds your soul. So get a broad, general, liberal education, and then you'll have to, trust me, if you start working, you're going to have to specialize.
My parents are rejoicing right now that all that money didn't go to waste.
You know, one thing that you had said earlier, you said it's great to learn how to learn. And I think that's very, very important. Critical thinking is essential for us. And, you know, this is very personal for you because you grew up in India during the 60s and the 70s, but yet you got your college education at Yale. So why America?
Well, I was attracted to America, you know, I'd be honest, not entirely for the universities. It was just America. I mean, I was growing up in the 60s and 70s. India was a poor country. America was this dazzling thing out there. We used to watch bootleg copies of American TV shows on VHS and Betamax.
What did you watch?
The thing that, you know, every immigrant has a version of an American dream, the thing that excited them about America. For me, it's the opening credits of Dallas, the TV show. If you remember that?
Yep.
You know, think about it. Growing up in India, those shiny skyscrapers, glass and steel, helicopters landing, people, you know, men getting out of Cadillacs.
Women with big hair.
And the women. Victoria Principal was definitely part of my American dream.
I don't think you're alone in that. I'm interested in what you're saying, because do you think that we are losing a lot because our children don't seem to start out education learning these things like how to read and how to critically think? Because I think that if you wait until college to start to hone those skills, it feels like it's a little late. It feels a little late to me. So what do you think?
Well, we should be absolutely, a good high school should be preparing you with exactly these broad-based skills.
Grammar school?
Well, if you look at the people who have done really well, it's ironic. You talk to a lot of technology entrepreneurs, and they talk about the importance of liberal arts. So Steve Jobs always said that the most important class he ever took was a calligraphy course at Reed, because it taught him about design, and it taught him that human beings use computers in a way where the cleanliness and aesthetics of the computer matter. Mark Zuckerberg tells me, and I point out in the book, I interviewed him for it, that the most important courses he took at Harvard before he dropped out were in psychology. And he thinks Facebook's real importance is a psychological insight. It's the connection that people are not anonymous. Before Facebook, you were anonymous on the internet. You had a Twitter handle or something. He said, I bet you that if you create a platform where you can reveal your true identity, people will spend more time on that platform. They'll share more. They'll be more open. And of course, for an advertiser, this is a dream. Now you know the exact person who you're selling to.
So why do you think liberal arts are under such attack? Not just on the right, but across the political spectrum. People want to funnel kids into community colleges and vocational training that you talked about.
Yeah.
Because we're living in very anxious times. People are very worried, and they think to themselves, what's going to make sure that we can get, you know, my son or my daughter can get the kind of education that will get him or her a good job. And I understand the anxiety. But, you know, the United States has always emphasized this broad, liberal, general education. Way back in the 19th century, when the Germans were doing apprenticeship programs, we always said, no, we're different, because people move all the time, and they want to be free. They want to experiment. They want to follow their passion. And look, we've got a pretty good track record the last 100 years. You know, the American innovation is very much tied, I think, to this ability to allow people's minds to wander freely.
And so you don't think it's a luxury?
I don't think it's a luxury. I do think it's expensive, and that's something we can talk about.
I mean, I'm a big advocate for people going to vocational schools also, because with all of the thinking that we need to do, someone has to repair the plumbing. Yes. Someone has to repair, and in New Jersey, there are only, what did I say?
4,000.
4,000 electricians. To me, it seems not a good idea. I think we have to balance it. Is that
you do both?
You feel,
of course. Yeah. And look, a lot of people are going to do trades like that, and those don't require, those don't take, 4 years to learn. Those are in some ways different groups of people. But if you have the opportunity to go to a college, and even if you do happen to learn a trade or a skill. The great thing that's now happening is online education is allowing everybody to take some element of a liberal education, of a general education. So, you know, all these online courses, the most fascinating thing about them is the two big ones have released their data. 50% of the classes people take are just to learn. They're not to you'd have thought, right, you'd have thought everyone was taking accounting and computers. No, people are taking history and you know, history and English and math and just things that they've always been curious about. I think it shows you that we're, as human beings, we're very curious. We've always been curious about the world, about how did we get here? What, you know, those questions are what people are trying to answer in these online courses.
Love it.
Yeah, you know, I actually have to ask this, Tim, because is it true that you partied so hard at Yale that the night before your graduation that you missed the ceremony?
So, you know, this is something that, I'll tell you how it came up. It's weird. I was asked to give the speech at Yale at the commencement. And I was thinking to myself, oh, I'll start with a funny joke about my commencement speaker. And I realized, I don't know who my commencement speaker was. I have no recollection. And then I thought back, I was like, I don't think I attended my commencement. And in fact, you know, but it sounds like I was some kind of party animal. That wasn't the case. What happened was, look, for me, college was this incredible opportunity. It was my introduction to America, not just to being at college. And so I had made these great friendships. I had had a great time. I was very sad to leave. And so the night before graduation, I probably stayed up, you know, drowning my sorrows in something or the other.
I was very sad to leave, but I made my commencement.
Whenever people start a conversation with what happened was.
Yes. We love having you. You have to come back.
Thank you so much.
Our thanks to Fareed Zakaria. Members of our audience are going home with a copy of his book. Be sure to read it. We will be right back.
Next, I'll tell you about the latest cutting-edge treatments for lines, wrinkles, stretch marks, and even some dark spots.
Oh, I want to try it. I'm a dark spot.
Let's try. Wow, that's good.
I'm back. Summer's the time to show some skin, but if blotches, sags, or double chins have you self-conscious about the skin you're in, we've got the latest beauty breakthroughs from dermatologist and all-around fabulous woman, Dr. Doris Day. Hey, Doc.
So good to be back.
So, what's going on here?
Oh, I have brought you the best, latest, greatest, cutting-edge, newly FDA-approved treatments because I want you to know there's a very big difference between aging gracefully and aging helplessly. And I want you to age gracefully. So we're going to start with something called EndyMed. EndyMed takes the best of microneedling along with radiofrequency. This is great for any skin type. And it can help with lines, wrinkles, even stretch marks, and some dark spots too. So when we apply it to the skin, it has these little needles that come through that you can see, and it goes really deep. They're gold-plated, so it really doesn't have a lot of pain. We do numb it before, and not a lot of downtime. So as I do the treatment, you can see it's relatively uncomfortable, and it feels really good on the skin.
But she's not jumping.
Beauty hurts, okay?
Well, she's not falling out, so it must be all right.
Not bad.
She's smiling.
And we do this over the whole face and neck in any area that you need. But what you apply around it makes a very big difference, too. So I brought the SkinCeuticals Hydrating B5 Gel. This is hyaluronic acid.
Used it for years.
And this you can get online from your doctor. There's lots of ways you can get it. So we would apply a little bit of this right afterwards onto her skin, right on top. And it just feels, it hydrates, it soothes, it helps heal, but it's not thick or greasy or tacky.
Oh, great.
It's great for when you fly.
Oh, it's great for when you fly. And this is the Christy Brinkley Authentic Skincare Recapture Day. Now, I am a medical advisor for this line, and I'm so proud of it. And Christy Brinkley, I believe she's watching, so shout out to Christy. And what this has, it has broad spectrum sun protection, SPF 30, but 54% of the rays that reach us are infrared, and some of those can cause discoloration and uneven skin tone. So we want to protect against that as well. So Recapture Day is good for that. And then exfoliating is so important, and Olay Pro X is a great go-to product. It's at your local drugstore. It cleans, it exfoliates.
Do you think
it's really
exfoliate
gentle.
too much? Absolutely. If you overstrip the outer layers of your skin, you actually lose water, you become more sun sensitive. So always moisturize after you exfoliate and use sun protection during the day. Okay. Very great question.
What's next, Dee?
Okay. Thank you, Amelia. And now we have Catherine. Catherine is my model for a brand new FDA-approved treatment for submental fullness. So the perfect angle for the neck is a 90-degree angle. So we want this softer because that will make her look younger and feel better. So now, without surgery, we can get rid of the fat. So under the neck. And this is Kybella. Kybella uses an ingredient that is also naturally found in the body, but obviously it's been transformed and purified, and now FDA approved to melt fat, and it permanently destroys those fat cells. So
That's amazing.
So now they can no longer store or regrow fat in that area. And it takes a few injections. It can take 2 to 4 treatments. You can see before and afters. And we mark a grid of the area we're going to treat. A couple little sticks in the skin, just in those areas.
Ow, 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 ow.
Yep, not too bad. And then you can have a little bit of swelling afterwards, but this will now melt. We do the next treatment at 4 to 6 weeks, and it can take a few treatments, 2 to 4 typically, to get permanent results. So that's a great treatment.
That is awesome.
You're not going to have a double chin.
But what you apply in that area, because we're always going to treat the skin, and I always want you to have options. So I brought a few options. This is Nia. This is based on niacinamide, and you just apply this over the area. It helps firm and even out skin tone and smooth the skin in this area. I brought you
caffeine in that.
It has some caffeine, which is one of my favorite ingredients, and niacinamide, and there's Nerium. I brought you also SkinCeuticals, firming and texturizing. So great products that you can also get without seeing a doctor necessarily. So you have lots of great options.
So just firms and tightens.
Firms, tightens, smooths, evens out skin tone, but doesn't replace the need for sun protection.
Oh, yes, because sun protection is everything.
That's right.
Doesn't matter what your complexion is.
That's right.
My mom always does this. Always, constantly.
Yeah, that's not a bad way.
What's happening here?
So now we have Radius hands. This is also brand new FDA approved. I'm talking in the past month. So now your hands, we know, can give away your age even more than your face, neck, and chest. So I want everyone to have beautiful hands that don't look veiny and the skin that doesn't look translucent. So with Radius, this morning I did an injection of her hands, and I only did one hand. So we have the befores from this morning. You can see her hands are a little bit veiny, even though she's quite gorgeous and stunning. And we pre-treated one hand, and you can see that there's a little bit of fullness and puffiness, that this hand looks less veiny, looks fuller, and this hand we'll treat in the office later, I promise.
That is amazing.
Yeah. So it gives really beautiful results, and I brought you some other before and afters as well.
Yeah, what you got?
and now for products. So I brought, actually this is a product that I made, and it's called Handle with Care. This helps with the brown spots on the hands. This is a great product. So you just turn it.
And what does it do? What is it doing for me?
What it does is it helps even out skin tone. So it's not a bleach. What it does is it helps reduce areas that are over-pigmented. So now your skin looks overall more even in tone. It's quite fabulous. And it's a great hydrator.
I always forget to use sunscreen on my hands. Always. I never even think about it.
Well, you know what? That brings us to the next set. And that's a great point, because what I've brought for you is sunscreens. So I brought you Elta MD, and this is an SPF 46. Now, Whoopi, I want you to put this on because I want you to see that it doesn't look like anything when you put it on your hand. A little bit goes a long way.
It's great. I use the PM as well. I have acne, and so I have to be careful, and this is great for someone who has acne because it's not too heavy.
Exactly. I haven't seen anyone break out from it.
And this is great for, you know, we, people of color, have this mythology in their head that we don't need any kind of sun protection. We actually do. We are the #1 growing group that's getting skin cancer because we're not putting the stuff on. So this is no joke. We need this in spite of everything.
And this is Color Science. It's a powder SPF, and it comes in all different skin tones. So you can use this, carry it in your bag. You just brush it on. You can see it's definitely working. Face, neck, back of the hands.
It's amazing.
This goes everywhere.
When we come back, Dr. Day is going to tell us about her must-have lotions from Amlactin Skincare for beautiful summer skin. We'll be right back.